This is gonna be a video about Red Dead Redemption 2 and Mafia 2, right? Both games highly immersive, right? Very fun, tons of great storytelling, dialogue, open world, visually very impressive, mechanics very impressive, physics very impressive, all that, First off here now, both games, they're kind of in like this open world sandbox, right? More so with Red Dead 2 because Red Dead 2 there is a lot more side stuff to do. There's more side stuff to do. The overall map is bigger, etc. The biggest difference between both games is the overall era. The era between both games, right? Red Dead 2 is like 1800s, a cowboy, a western era, right? So during then there was no cars, right? Like at least at the time of Red Dead 2, there was no cars, right? And it was all a horseback riding, right? A Mafia 2 is a little bit more, you know, a modern, so there's more cars. So there's gonna be cars, there's gonna be bigger buildings, etc., right? And but both games again they do have a great job of putting you like in that a sandbox or those two time periods, right? So for me, every time like I replay Red Dead 2, like it feels like I'm actually in the Wild West. Like it does a very good job of that. Of that immersion, putting you in like in that world, right? Both games is kind of like some sort of a crime, a sandbox, right? A Red Dead 2, you can rob stores, rob people. Same thing too with a Mafia 2, rob stores. You can steal horses like in Red Dead 2. Mafia 2, I can steal cars, police cars, etc. Right? And there's different types of moral decisions that you make. More so with a Red Dead 2. The morality choices like is more so with again a Red Dead 2 because there's a certain honor system, right? So you can have a good honor or a bad honor. Mafia 2, for the most part, like your honor is set in stone. There is no honor system. But like I said before, like the a crime sandbox, right? In terms of like side stuff, so both games obviously had the main stories going on, main characters, dialogue, etc. But the actual side stuff like is a lot bigger. Like Red Dead 2 side stuff is huge. Like there's so much aside aside activities to do. Animal hunting, bounty hunting, right? Playing chess, watching like a movie, a collectibles like in the world, finding a dinosaur bones, right? Different types of stuff. Mafia 2 is more so linear, like it's more so linear, and there's less stuff to do outside of the actual story. But a Mafia 2 still, you can, for the most part, there are collectibles, right? Playboy magazines, right? Like in the actual game, right? Wanted posters in, Mafia 2. You can have, there's even like this trophy where you gotta go around and I believe you gotta discover both, like all of the different cars are like in the game, etc. Right? So Dead 2's again, side stuff is huge. It is just huge, and collectibles as well. Collectibles, customization. Again, customization. Mafia 2 for the most part, you're just buying clothes and buying, weapons, right? I Red Dead 2, the customization, you can customize weapons, customize clothes. You can again like these badass cowboy uniform sets, so with the chaps, the trousers, the vests and t-shirts and caps, right, and all that. Mafia 2, Mafia 2 again like is more so it's more linear focus. That's more linear focus. There's limited customization. You can buy suits in the game. The different suits to buy in the game. You can buy a lock picks or whatever. But in terms of like customization, you can customize cars. You can customize cars, but you can't customize weapons or ammo types, etc. All those things like in Red Dead 2 I can do. But yeah, going back, like I said before, visually both games very impressive. They have a very impressive visual art style, like right, like in the visually, very, appealing games, right? Even Mafia 2, I played it like on the PS3 and Xbox 360. So around the original version. So 2010, the textures aren't as good, obviously, as now. But even then, like when I played the actual game back then, Mafia 2, it was very beautiful. Like it looked amazing. It does look amazing. From the cars to the buildings to the character designs, it looked like amazing, right? Red Dead, Red Dead 2, to the sceneries, like you're more so like in a forest area, like wild, so like you're in the wild or a bush type areas, right? So, a beautiful sceneries, from the trees, the forest areas, to the snowy areas, right? A mountaintop areas, to the, a swamp, a lake areas, to a grassland areas, to a small towns, etc., right? So it all looks very visually, it's all very visually beautiful, between both games. Sound, they get like into cover and the shooting mechanics, running mechanics, etc. Mafia 2, you move slightly, like the characters is a lighter weight. Mafia Red Dead 2, you move heavier, like you move relatively heavier. And both games will have restrictions where there's going to be moments where you can't run. So for example, Red Dead 2 or Mafia 2 is going to have moments where, for example, where like you're a Mafia 2, like when you're in your apartment, you can't run, right? You can only walk. Red Dead 2, like when you're in the camp, you can't run. You can only walk. So yeah, both games will have restrictions in mechanics at times, right? But like I said before, Red Dead 2, for some reason, Rockstar decided to make it so a movement was slower, like you move around very slow. Picking up items is very slow, right? Reloading, or picking up ammo, or looting enemies. Mafia 2 doesn't have that much like of a problem. It's more of like interactable stuff to pick up, right? So like it's just automatic pickup. Like you automatically pick up weapon like once you walk over it, or you automatically pick up a collectible, etc., right? Or like a food or whatever. Yeah. So mechanic wise, Mafia 2 does have slightly more fluent mechanics, and it's kind of weird because Mafia 2 is 8 years older than I Red Dead 2, right? Like in the actual, by the time the game was released, right? There is the a definite edition, right? So the remastered, but still, it is a game in its mechanics 8 years older than a Red Dead 2. But a Red Dead 2 is slower. Again, the mechanics are probably more slower, but just more detailed in the mechanics. Soundtracks as well, dialogue, in terms of audio and dialogue and soundtracks, very impressive. As far as I know, Red Dead 2 didn't really have a legit soundtrack, but it did, in its instrumental, so like its background music. A Mafia 2 like is more so giving you music like from that era, right? So because Mafia 2 like you had easier access to radio compared to Red Dead 2. Red Dead 2 radio didn't really exist yet, right? So you had access to radio Mafia 2. You can listen to the soundtracks. I'm not familiar with 1940s, 50s music, but like it does a very good job of that extra layer of immersion, right? So it puts you like in that world. Red Dead 2 more so like in the soundtracks. It's more so again instrumental music, so more so instrumentals. Listen to the one. There's an instrumental. It's called "My Last Son." It's a very good instrumental. There's a different one, American Villain or whatever, Venom, American Venom, and yeah, a very great instrumentals. And yeah, a visual dialogue and commentary. The dialogue, between the characters, is a very well done. The dialogue, about the characters' conflict, learning about the motivations of certain characters, the personalities. So in both games, the personalities between the characters is like just a scene like the personalities a conflict, and sometimes I get along, right? These feel like real people, like across both games. It's almost like they're retelling history here between both games because the characters feel like real people, like real life people, literally real life people, and they do a great job. They did like an amazing job of making you feel like this areas or these areas feel very real. side characters as well. Red Dead 2, in this department, Red Dead 2, you know, I would say a lot more side characters like in Red Dead 2. There's a lot more side characters, there's more NPCs, there's more memorable, you know, dialogue and moments. Mafia 2 is a little bit shorter like in story, but you know, like for the time it gives you that 10-12 hours. Red Dead 2 is probably twice that or three times that. But for the time Mafia 2 gives you, it does an amazing job. It just does an amazingly well done job, right? So yeah, Red Dead 2, Mafia 2, like, share, subscribe. Thanks for watching.